right, let's move into the next story though. Right now, we'll be talking about Supervive. You know, this is a game that, you know, just to recap, if it's the first time you're watching us, first time you're hearing about Supervive, Supervive is a 4v4 overhead MOBA / battle royale. It sounds like a word soup right there. It kind of is, but when you get to see it, you get to look at it, it makes a lot of more sense. You drop in, you pick your champion, you drop in, and then you and the 3 teammates run around leveling up, killing monsters and creeps and bosses, and then acquiring gear to then defeat other players. Last man standing wins. So I'm going to put some gameplay footage in the background here, and I want to start talking about our experience in the beta test this past weekend. I got my chance to get my hands on it, as well as, you know, get a little bit more in depth with the new systems, the new tutorial, the new, what was it, the gear evolution thing. It wasn't nearly as complicated as I thought it was going to be. Looking at it, it got pretty simple, but I was a bit overwhelmed off the bat. So, Nick, we have the footage happening in the background. Was a character select for the drop-ins going on. What were your overall impressions of the gameplays that you got to take on with Supervive? How did you feel with it? Hold on, I think you might be muted.
Oh, that's awesome, because you didn't hear my voice crack then. I'm still a little sick. So the game itself was, or is, really, really smooth. The gameplay is nice. It's getting, the maps themselves are a little wonky to like get used to. I did feel a little disoriented with how similar the map is from spot to spot. So I did feel like a little lost at times, but that, like, again, I haven't played this like a lot. Like I've played it a decent amount, but I haven't played it enough to like know the map ins and outs. And that's pretty much like my only real critique on it is, you know, and I don't really care for dropping. I think like dropping is like one of the worst things in Battle Royale. And like a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the problems come from the dropping itself, right? Because everything's so random in the beginning. That I don't care for the drop in, but you know, that's the only real gripe that I have for this game.
It does create a little bit of a skill, like, you know, you do have to learn how to drop, where to read the map. But yeah, the random aspect of it, where you are dropping in on you know, you never know which direction you're dropping in from. You might get boned where you know, you're furthest away from a great like legendary. Here they drop in and they immediately drop on a pack of monsters to try to level up. They get their first abilities, etc. Here's that boss in this group. They're, you know, just quick spamming to try to get that experience quick. Now they're level 2. There was another team capturing another point not too far from them. So yeah, as far as drops go, it does and can feel kind of chaotic, kind of random, especially with the battle royales. And I think, I don't know how I feel about it, because, you know, competitive game wise, you want as much consistency as possible. But then if you get super uber consistency in a shooter, you're talking about like a CSGO where, you know, you're staging and everybody's starting in the same sort of moment with the same guns and stuff. And that's good because, you know, it's the best way to measure skill. But in that same way, randomness and dealing with randomness might also be a skill. There they took out another team. This might be against bots, I'm not entirely sure. Their final kill, the chest drop, they get to loot the chest, they get to level up the gear. The bottom right, you can see they've got gear system. You kind of choose a format if you go tanky, hybrid, tank and damage, or just full damage. And then basically you level those pieces of gear up, and then those pieces of gear can evolve into having like WoW special text where it does a specific characteristic, like deals an extra 3 burn damage per hit, you know, hypothetically speaking. Right. Beyond that, most mobile players should be pretty used to this. The viewing is a little bit different. The camera, and that's the thing, talking about a little bit of criticisms and getting used to. You were talking about getting used to the map. Nick, how did you feel about getting used to the view? Because it's not so much I can scroll as far as I want to sort of play and view. It's kind of a rubber band, a dynamic view. You reach further with your aim, your reticle, and you kind of look further down, and then you could bring it back into the centerpiece here. So how did you feel with that sort of reticle part?
Like it didn't feel too wonky for the most part. Like a lot of aiming in MOBAs anyway happens with your mouse, like all of it, right? Like so it was fine. It was just weird getting used to the AWSD again, like in a top down like this. That's about it.
Gotcha.
So it's like that's pretty much it. But I would highly recommend a mouse with more buttons for this game. I'm not even joking. Like I think this is just one of those situations where you convert every single thing you do besides movement to your right hand, like to your mouse hand, you know? That's what I think is the best route for this game. And there's not many buttons overall anyway, you know?
Right. I would actually like to see, maybe there already is this in the key bindings. I didn't get to dive directly into the key bindings and like customizing them. It's like going to a new pizza shop. You got to try the plain slice first. How do they want it to see if it's good or not? How do they make it initially? And that's kind of the vibe I wanted to go with here in the new game. I want to see how they built the game. So the controls, and before I went to customization, I didn't get a chance to fully customize it, but you know, me saying that long-winded, I would like to see, and maybe the mouse buttons is the solution to like quick access upgrade abilities. Because I still felt like upgrading abilities was a little clunky, and I mostly found myself waiting till downtime and clicking buttons. And the same with the gear on the bottom right. You'll see a little star come up with a line that connects to the item or the ability, and that's where I felt it was a little tricky. Maybe more buttons would help that. More buttons on the mouse would help that. Maybe customizing the keyboard would help that. If you know, let me know, because I would like to play more and like to figure that out. But you know, that's where we're at currently. Nick, so far we've been seeing some pretty standard footage from the drop. I'm going to speed us ahead into later of this match when they're fighting a bit more mobs, a bit more enemies. But this is the general play cycle. How did you feel then overall with the play cycle? It is a smooth moving game. It's a smooth aiming game. There are some friction points. This isn't alpha/beta. The concepts are there. But how did you feel the gameplay loop played out with all that stuff in mind?
Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out, and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show.
If you like battle royales, you should enjoy this game. I'm not the biggest battle royale person, but like the game is solid. Like it's good enough for me to be like, I'll play this with friends.
Resurrecting now.
You know, I'll continue to like play it every now and then with people. I might play it a couple times a week by myself if I get looped into it good enough with like buddies. But like it's not for me. Like if I were just to like sit down, it's too much. Battle royales are just not my bag. I just don't enjoy too much randomness in my game. Like I play Magic the Gathering, I don't play Hearthstone, you know? Like I don't care for randomness.
Famously a card game that has random pulls, though, a random draw.
Random everything. Like everything they do is random in that game. Anyway.
Yeah. So here's a big team fight happening, kind of give you a vibe of what's going on. I did hear some community complaints about the game feeling like very bursty, very chunky. And that could be something dealing with health pools or loadouts, people learning how to play the game and whatnot. Certain champions being stronger than others, but I personally didn't feel that way. Overall, I felt like the game ended up having a good mix and the champions having a good solid combination. Maybe as the meta develops, we'll see more in that. But generally speaking, you know, the reception, I want to move into like, you know, we talked about the gameplay here. The reception has been super positive. A lot of people have played this because of Steam Next Fest, the demo there. I've saw and heard a lot of people from around the world playing on these servers. I'm mostly connected to the US Ohio server, not the not the Gen Z terminology for, or Gen Alpha, whatever it is, Ohio Skibbity, but the actual US server. And it, you know, I was hearing people who are playing from Japan and Asia and Russia and Europe across the board. So there seems to be a huge international response online, a huge international play test online, which gotta love. This is going to be the lifeblood of this game. And this is still only alpha or beta. So it makes me super excited about that. How overall, Nick, how do you think they can improve, or what is something you think they can improve on for something like the international player base that is gravitating to this? It's checking it out for the first time. How do you think they can hook them in, these battle royale players or these MOBA players? Because I know you said you're not quite a battle royale player, but you are a MOBA player, and that could be that nice, you know, overlapping Venn diagram of people to kind of pull from. So how do you think they can engage that audience and the audience that has tried it out so far?
I don't think that this is going to pull too many, like it'll grab some MOBA people, but I don't see a real connection for like MOBA players besides like it's a top-down MOBA battle royale, right? It doesn't have the things that MOBA players usually go with. I will tell you one thing, like they're going to steal your Overwatch players, bro. Like it's a tank healers DPS. It's a smooth game. They got abilities. I'm sure the characters are like, the characters look really, really good. The lore, I'm sure we'll get there. And shit, I swear to God, if these people put out a PvE game mode, they're going to clap Blizzard's cheeks left and right. Like they are going to take Overwatch players.
Man. That's a sore spot. We don't talk about PvE after Overwatch 2, man.
I'm serious though. Like I do think like Overwatch players would be the place to pull from. I think like Overwatch players would probably really like enjoy the characters and the smooth gameplay.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question because you mentioned it's not what MOBA players play for. So the question's straightforward. You know, and this might be also to the audience out there. What do MOBA players play MOBAs for? What do they look for? What is that intricacy that gets them hooked and in depth? Is it the character? Is it the lore? Is it the theory crafting of numbers? Because this is an alpha beta. We could potentially still see that happen. They can still be the change to engage MOBA players a little bit more. Otherwise, I don't disagree. But, you know, Overwatch players, more FPS. I am a little skeptical because FPS players want a full immersive, not really a top down. And that might be like a deterrent overall, but we'll see how that goes. But how do you engage those? What are the things that MOBA players are looking for then?
Everything that's not a battle royale for the most part. Like you're playing, like in MOBAs, you're going to be playing against a person, right? In lane, you're facing somebody. Like how well the game goes, how well your game goes depends on how you play your matchup against another person in general, right? So it's not like with the team and everything. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that kind of glosses over though, because MOBAs are PvEVP, right? You're playing against NPCs, bots, creeps coming through, and then you're playing against a player as well. And, you know, that's where a game like Deadlock really felt like a MOBA because it did a good job encapsulating that part of it. So, like, I wanted to push back because I think it's a bit more nuanced. I think you are playing PvE, but you're doing competitive PvE. How well you can level up, how fast you can level up compared to the other guy. So there is like a comparison versus your rival in the lane, of course. But like, I didn't want to gloss over that part. And I do think that this delivers it differently for sure, but I think it still delivers that aspect of leveling up and your strategy of movement.
Let me reword it a little bit differently. Interacting with people on a regular basis without you just losing the game instantly. Like it's really like the interaction of what you allow your opponent to do, what you perceive as an advantage, what you got over them, right? But it's more of interacting with a person, right? So when like I talk about like TCGs, it's usually like, are you playing solitaire or are you like playing PvP, right? And most TCGs, besides like a few, are solitaire based, right? Battle royales tend to be like just chaos based, right? With like a little bit of solitaire outwards. The fighting is awesome for a lot of MOBA players, but you won't really get to that like fighting or interaction with another person until you're having team fights, right? So like we have ARAM in League, like ARAM's fun.
Yeah.
It's not the main game mode we play. It's all battles. Like it's all just right? Like you still buy your items and stuff like that. But that's really like what I feel about it, right? It's just interaction with people.
I see your point, and I do agree with that. I see where you're coming from on that. I do want to kind of throw in there are strategies in battle royales, and sometimes they're the worst part of battle royales. Like I remember with Apex, there was a rat strategy. You'd literally hide and just leapfrog from zone to zone and just try to get that one kill or that one crucial kill at the end for a team kind of moment. And that doesn't feel good. Playing Plunderstorm when WoW had it, a part of the I guess the battle royale system there too is like you do need to level up and you do need to go play some PvE, basically play solitaire for a while. And that was a fair strategy. You play solitaire until level 6 and then you go try to make aggressive team fights. Other times you are just stuck in a bad situation. You drop into a side of the map you're not having fun with. There's a lot of players over there, so you're forced into PvP earlier than you want to. You're not quite ready, and that doesn't feel good too. So yes, it does drag out and make a different sort of expectation for the MOBA aspect of it for sure. But maybe that's also the great selling point about this game. It'll be cool to see what's going on. It'll be cool to see how it plays out overall. If it takes Overwatch 2 players away from Overwatch, if it takes League of Legends players away from League of Legends, I'm sure there would be a bunch of players interested in this, but it does seem to give a little bit more of that battle royale vibe, which, you know, Fortnite got to look out for, Apex got to look out for. They're not the same, but they might offer an experience that is competitive with it. So definitely excited for that. Any final thoughts from you, Nick, about how to engage players with the game continuing? They're still in alpha and beta. They've got a lot of moments. We just talked about how mobile players might be looking for more of that mirrored sort of tug of war battle aspect, that less of a solitaire, more of a solitaire, less of a solitaire moment. Like, I'm not sure if I'm saying that clearly, but is there any other sort of ways or thoughts with engagement for moving forward in this beta? Because it was pretty well received, and we'll kind of keep seeing how players sink into it and express themselves with it. But what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, the only thing that ever I think battle royales need to work on is where they like lose me. Where is my downtime? Like my downtime of just like moving through the map. And it feels like I'm kind of like, what would I say, harrowing the field. Like I'm just digging a hole while I move. Like it's kind of just really boring to me and takes me out of the game. So that's why like I'm not the battle royale guy. That's what I mean with like interaction with people, is that there's always times where I feel like my heartbeat just drops all the way. Like my adrenaline spikes and then it just drops out. And then I'm like, yeah, well, this game is cheeks. Like, even though it's like not, like, it's just, for me, I just end up like, I'm like, oh man, I'm bored as shit now. My ADD's going, this sucks.
Well, yeah, that might be the ADHD. It might be the adrenaline, you know, the control of it. Like it's exciting. Where am I going? What am I doing? And then like, how do you manage after that point? So that might be an interesting thought experiment for developers of battle royales. And maybe it's not something you can, you know, solve for everybody, because it is a battle royale. That is the thing that you get squished in and then it's just like ramp up. But that's
give me a story mode.
I could see it happening. I could definitely see it happening, and maybe the focus on it is a little bit later, but I do also see a competitive scene happening with this for sure. And maybe we'll see a lot more happening in tournament wise, demo wise, as we get forward. But I appreciate that insight, because I hadn't thought about it in that way, where, you know, how your body physically reacts to the game through the game. In a battle royale, it almost naturally wants you to spike at certain moments and then crash. And how do you manage that spike to crash without making a bad gameplay loop? Either way, I think Supervive is on the way for players. Definitely something to check out. Smoothing excellent. Movement, excellent. Gameplay, abilities, excellent. A little rough around the edges for some of the UI stuff, a little rough around the edges for some of the other stuff. But honestly, probably one of the best demos I've played all year. Cough, Marvel Rivals, cough. Even though I had fun, but you know, I like to dig on that as far as like, this is going to be a serious game. Absolutely. Supervive is going to be a serious game, and looking forward to seeing what and how other players feel about that. So if that's all we have for Supervive, Nick, other thoughts, any final like kind of wrap up bow tie moments here?
Try not to make the environment too destructible. That would be like the last thing that I would say. Learn from Marvel Rivals, as we just brought them up.
Yeah. I think we didn't get to talk about that, but you know, that is something that they do have a little bit incorporated. It's definitely not as overwhelming as what Marvel Rivals is and how it comes back either way. Anyway, we'll see how that all goes. We'll see how Marvel Rivals plans out in December. We've got some more Supervive coming over time. Did you get a chance to play the beta and over Steam Next Fest this past week? Let us know if you did. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Even if you still liked it, we want to try to give feedback and try to get this community together to help make this the best game it possibly could, because it is looking really solid. And we do want to see more small indie companies like this make games for gamers. All right. So that being said, thank you for watching so far. This is the Esports Meta. We're live currently doing the podcast. We do the podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch and YouTube predominantly. We also broadcast on the Sports Fluent Network. So if you're watching them there, shout out to you guys. Give us a little thumbs up, a little heart emoji, whatever it is, a little sports ball of your choice, hockey puck, basketball, football, baseball, all going on. This is the best moment for sports all year, with the different games happening all at the same time. So throw out one of those emojis to let us know that you're watching us. Otherwise, if you want to check us out, we're on every single social media platform that you would be on.